Thank you for purchasing one of my digital downloads. Here you'll find easy exercises that were created to increase your skill and confidence and help you become the kind of artist you want to be. These exercises are made up entirely from my imagination to show you how easy it is to simply imply detail with easy to paint brushstrokes instead of trying to record the whole story. I'll demonstrate this by painting simple organic flower forms that are designed to help you loosen up your painting style. It is very important to complete the suggested exercises quickly to avoid becoming too detail-oriented. Repeat them often until you are completely comfortable with the process, and in the doing, you will be on your way to becoming the kind of artist who creates works of art instead of one who merely paints pictures. So, let's get started.
For this next exercise, we're going to do the blue hydrangea. I love blue hydrangeas. I've never been able to grow them. I've never had just the right perfect spot or the right type soil to get them to be blue, but I love to paint them. They're easy to paint because, again, it's just another organic form that you fill in with color and you put a few well-placed strokes of paint to imply that it is a hydrangea. So again, if you look at this in detail, you'll notice how many little tiny petals it has. Just forget that and concentrate on the outside edge of it. And it's a simple shape. There you go. That's it. Pretty easy. You can put several together. And one way that you can for sure make the viewer know that it is a hydrangea actually is by putting the leaf form in. And the hydrangea has a sort of a ruffled edge leaf. And so you can do that. And that says hydrangea for people who are familiar with this particular floral form. We're going to put the same shapes on this white sheet of paper. And maybe I'll do 3 shapes, but it's going to read as one when I'm finished. It's always better to simplify than to make things all separate. And then we'll put one of these leaf forms down here. And now we'll just mix up some beautiful hydrangea blue. The perfect color for that, I think, is cobalt blue. It's already mixed. I don't mix my colors very often. I just mix a color for my greens, and I'll also mix my grays. But other than that, I pretty much use straight out of the tube, and that's how I get my brilliant color. It's no big secret. Same thing we did with the main demo is we made sure we had value going on. We started at about 20%. So there you go. We add a little more pigment to that water puddle that was a very thin, more water than pigment for the 20%. And then it's more pigment than water to get to the next value. So there's that value, and then we'll get a little darker. And to get darker than that, we will have to add a pigment that's already inherently darker. That just comes that way, which would be the either the ultramarine is darker than cobalt blue. And so we can get darker that way. So that would be our goal, is to represent all of those values within these forms. But we'll start with 20% and just cover this whole shape with a base of wet, thin paint. I'm not particular when I put this on. I want to have a variety of edges. of soft and hard. And so you don't want to just be painting them. I'm going to go ahead and paint this center one really perfectly and let you see which one is more interesting. And by continually stroking over it, I lose almost all of my granulation like I have here. But you can see how flat this is becoming. It's because it was overworked. And so you want to avoid that and just loosely apply this paint using the whole brush. Now we're going to increase the value, and we're going to do that by just simply adding some more cobalt blue pigment, very little water. Oh, and now that beautiful hydrangea blue is starting to pop out. A few well-placed strokes will represent some of the petals. And we'll add some sunshine. I'm going to use this Hansa Yellow Light again. Well, I'm sorry, it's Hansa Yellow Deep, not light. So here we got some sun. And I'm going to put some more value in by adding ultramarine way over here so it doesn't get too much water into it. And we're going to add some brush strokes. I like to come outside my form so that there's more interesting edges. Instead of everything happening inside this form, I like to come outside of it. And you notice I have a large, a medium, and a small. It's part of your principles of design. Part of the principle of dominance is nothing can be dominant if everything's the same size. Now we're going to mix up some very dark blue-black to start embellishing this. But first, we'll take the palette knife again, and we're going to use the side of it to create some petals. Now, the strip that I got, because I didn't pay attention to this and it really pooled, it's pretty easy to take care of. You can just spray water on it. I heard once that you're only as good as your ability is to correct your mistakes. So this is a good little tip if something like this happens. And we'll get some dark blue paint now. And I'll put a little bit of Prussian blue in it to get it really black. And we'll start embellishing these edges. When you get a pool of water, you can just wick it up with the point of your brush before it can take off and run down. And we'll add some stems. I've already got the green or the brown organic color that I've been using, and we'll just use that to create some stem work. Now I'm going to put some leaves, like I talked about, these little ruffly edges. We'll put some value in here. And we'll put some cool temperature in. And we'll also put some sun. On that front one. And we're going to have to let that dry a little bit, but while that is drying, we can go ahead and add some brushwork to further imply some petals. And so I have all this nice blue here. I just need to get to a value that's just a tiny bit darker than what I have there, and then I can stroke on these petals. Because this has not completely dried, you'll get a series of blooms there, which blooms are actually very nice if you're doing an organic form. It's awfully wet, so it's going to be hard for me to get the crispness around here, but we'll get a little bit so that you can kind of see the potential. And we'll get the leaf, we'll get some more information in this leaf form with some dark green, burnt sienna, very heavy pigment. You can also use these scraped out accents to spread color around. So if I needed to bring green up into the top part of a painting, then I would simply use those as an opportunity to do so. So I would just paint those in with some green, and then all of a sudden I have the green into the top part of this tiny, tiny painting. It's not that you're painting what is actually there, but always remember this. The rights of the painting always come first. It's more important that you follow the principles and rules of design than it is to replicate something exactly as it is. We want to create art. We don't want to create a photo. We have a camera for that.